back to see the Phillies back in my hometown. Back to Philadelphia before the sun goes down. Wanna get back there to the ballpark lights. I gotta see the Phillies, what a beautiful sight. Gotta go cheer 'em on, help 'em score some runs. We wanna make the Phillies #1. I want you to tell everybody that I'm leaving today. I'm going back to Philadelphia, PA. I'm going home to Philadelphia, back in old PA, to see the greatest team in the USA. Wanna laugh at the fanatic doing his thing. Wanna stand up for the anthem, hear the people sing. I love to shout, it's out of here, that's one they'll never catch. I even love to do the 7th inning stretch. I want to tell everybody that I'm on my way. I'm going back to see the Phillies today. I'm going back to Philadelphia, I've been living my dream. Back to catch the Phillies, they're my favorite team. You know, I've been to the East, I've been to the West, but Philly has the team that I love the best. I can live without the Yankees and the Dodgers if true. You can keep old Chicago and the Red Sox too. I'm going back to the place where the Phillies play. I'm going back to Philadelphia, PA. I want you to tell everybody that I'm leaving today. I'm going back to Philadelphia, PA. Back to Philadelphia, PA.
Welcome in, everybody. It is a Thursday night, and we got records being set at Citizens Bank Park tonight. And I will say this right now, as all of a sudden I get a text.
He now has 8 home runs in his last 10 innings against the Braves. Is there a chance he could come up with the bases loaded, just go home run cycle? He could. That would be the MLB record. He has 9 RBIs. The MLB record is 12 RBIs.
I get a text right when I start. Okay, so we have all kinds of breaking news tonight. And first breaking news story comes from Citizens Bank Park. And we have the newest member of the 4 home run club. 4 homers in 1 game. Kyle Schwarber may have just locked MVP up tonight. And Brian Schnicker may not be long for his job. Now, there's all kinds of things going on in Atlanta because everybody was wondering, well, he let Smith Schwarber stay in the mound in April, and he blew out his elbow, and he was still throwing a couple of pitches. Well, Kyle Schwarber did not hit 1. He did not hit 2. And no, we're not playing the Masters team. He did not hit 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the MVP of the National League tonight has hit homers. And not only has he tied the record, he also has an opportunity with how pathetic the Braves are tonight. And this is the perfect chance to set an all-time record here, because the Eagles are leading the Falcons 18-4 in the 7th inning. That's right. Your Philadelphia Phillies woke up tonight and then some. They scored 5 in the first after Aaron Nola spotted them a 3-0 lead. They scored 6 more in the fourth, 3 more in the seventh, 3 in the fifth, and there was 1 in the third. So Kyle Schwarber has 4 home runs tonight. He hit he hit a solo shot in the first off of Cal Quantrill, the son of Phillies legend Paul Quantrill. He hit his second homer off of Austin Cox, not Peacock or the Cock. He hit, well, that second home run was a 2-run shot, and he's hit a pair of 3-run homers. 5th inning off of Cox, and just now off of Wander Suero. And I know what you're saying with those last 2 names. I know what you're saying, everybody. I know it. And I'm going to say it right now.
Who the fuck is that guy?
We're saying about both those guys because the Braves are a mash unit. And the Phillies bats woke up tonight. They should have been active in New York. They were active 1 or 2 of those days, but all weird shit was going on in New York. I mean, and we have an interesting situation here. And I'm going to open this up to everybody. And if you want to respond, feel free to do so. Mickey, welcome in. I'm going to ask this question to you guys. The Braves have gone to a position player to pitch out the rest of the game. Do you give Kyle Schwarber a chance at Major League Baseball history? Because nobody has hit 5 home runs in a Major League game. I think in college ball, I think somebody hit 6 home runs in a college game for Florida State because they mentioned it on TV within the last couple of weeks. But no one has ever hit 5 home runs in a game. And I'll tell you what. Will it be an asterisk as well? And Mickey agrees with me, I believe. He says if, you gotta let him go for it. Now, the only problem is, well, first of all, because it's Philadelphia. Because, we can't have nice things in Philadelphia. Not only that, there could be an asterisk on this because the 5th home run came off of a position player. And I'm going to say it right now. And I'm going to post this right now on Twitter even. And I just said it right now. And of course, you're going to have people respond to me on X. I said right now, if Topper pinch hits Schwarber, if his spot comes up in the 8th inning, he gets fired tonight. Go for the record. Oh, and we riot. Because the one thing is, Schwarber already has 4 home runs tonight. He's up to 49 home runs. He passed Mike Schmidt and Ryan Howard for second most home runs in a season. And you just can't do that opportunity. Now, Brian Schnitker, on the other hand, could get fired too because he's allowing a position player to pitch to Kyle Schwarber. I mean, this may be a situation where if Schwarber comes up, and let's say the bases are loaded, because Kyle Schwarber could also, if it's bases loaded, could hit a cycle because he had a solo homer, 2-run homer, and 2 3-run homers. But I'll tell you this. If Brian Schnitker allows his position player to pitch to Kyle Schwarber in the 8th, even with the bases loaded, do a Joe Madden. 4, go to first. That's what I would do if I was Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, I wish it was 18-3 because my joke that the Eagles are beating the Falcons would fit because, you know, very rarely do you score 4 points in a football game. Last time I ever saw it was Penn State. They lost to Iowa 6-4. But yeah, I mean, this is a crazy game. And I'm just looking to see something here. Yeah, they took out Ozuna. Okay. Okay, so I can't hit that parlay. Actually, I can't hit either parlay I played tonight. So, but I'm going to keep an eye on the game for you. And, yeah, that's why we start off a little late tonight because I was like, because I'm also watching somebody else's stream. And, you know, I've been watching these out of the park baseball streams because eventually I'm going to be doing baseball streams, baseball game streams, gaming streams. So we do have that. And I had Schwarber to hit a home run. I didn't have him hit 4. I mean, my God, what? I mean, I don't even think that the sports books offer 4 home runs in a game. But Kyle Schwarber is mistaken this time of the year for August for June, because the joke around here early on is that he would hit that, you know, he was Mr. June because he got Player of the Month 2 years in a row. But you know, we got a class act here going for the Phillies franchise records and home runs. And maybe even the clean urine home run record, because we know, I mean, even though Barry Bonds has the record, Mark McGwire is second for home runs in a regular season, we know that Bonds took the cream and the clear, allegedly, and probably other things, because, you know, his head went, and that's not just his ego. Mark McGwire was always huge, and he had the Andrew Steendione in his locker, but back then, MLB was not testing. And the one thing I will say about certain players is the fact that, you know, even if you're testing, I mean, if you're not testing, you know, you can't just make up the rules as you go along. I mean, it's like, you know, it's almost like playing cards with your kid. Or best example is in the movie Big Daddy. they're playing cards, and the kid goes, what's the name of this game? I win. But either way, something goof. I mean, a lot of goofiness this week. Phillies got swept out of Flushing, and they came back home and they took it out, and then some on Atlanta who, how Brian Schnicker still has a job, I don't know, but he does have a so they replayed that fourth home run on TV here, and also those 3 games that the Phillies lost. It does look like the Phillies are going to get a game back tonight because the Marlins are up 7-4 on the Mets. So Schwarber's got his helmet on like he's going to hit again. And the way this night is, wait. Let me see something. Let me pull up the box score here. Schwarber comes up 5th in this inning. So crazy stuff happening down at the ballpark tonight, and hopefully we get to see something that's never happened before in baseball. So we'll see what happens there with that. So, but he's also already set a franchise record with 9 RBIs. He broke Jason Wirth's record. So, but a lot of crazy stuff going on. I'll keep you up to date here because they have a and also Harrison Bader, Harrison Master Bader has a chance at a cycle tonight. He's got a single, double, and triple tonight, so he's up right now with a chance to hit a cycle. So, and the worst part about this is the fielder that's pitching is throwing about 35 miles an hour. It's not even registering on the gun. Base hit. So, crazy stuff at the ballpark. So, and then we had additional breaking news today. And I forgot to post this in the notes here, but we got more breaking news. Micah Parsons is no longer a Dallas Cowboy. He got traded to the Green Bay Packers. Dallas gets 2 first-round draft picks, 1 in 26, 1 in 27, and they get defensive tackle Kenny Clark. So what do we say about the Cowboys right now? Now, I think the way that this deal came into play, this may have been a situation here where it was like, well, have your agent work a contract. That's what it seems like to me. Because as soon as the trade was announced, Parsons agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract with the Packers. So, He's going to get $120 million fully guaranteed at the signing and $136 million in total guarantees. And Schwarber's up right now, so we're going to do play-by-play here. First pitch was outside. And he popped up. So, yeah, very rare in baseball do you get a guy with a chance to set a major league record with a 5th home run. But it just shows how hard it is to hit a baseball 300, 400, 500 feet when there's no energy in the ball because it's thrown so slowly. But the Braves, they didn't walk him because of the fact it was 19-4 and he had a position player in. So, going back to the Parsons story, he gets traded, promptly signs a 4-year, $188 million deal. So he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, sources said to ESPN. Now, he released a statement on social media today saying in part, "I never wanted this chapter to end, but not everything was in my control. My heart has always been here and still is. Through it all, I never made any demands. I never asked for anything more. That's fairness. Then fairness. I only asked that the person I trust to negotiate my contract be part of the process." So it seems like Jerry didn't want to talk to the guy for whatever reason. Why that is, I don't know. But so that may be part of the thing that, you know, why the agent told Jerry Jones to stick the contract up his ass. So that makes sense. So, and it was a quick turnaround between this morning where the news broke that Dallas was putting him up for trade. So they said that they were willing to listen to trade offers. Now, there were rumors that Green Bay was trying to get him within the last week. So it wasn't just today, but, you know, they probably could have been shopping him around over the last couple of weeks. Not just today, but it was probably one of those, hey, we're shopping him around, but we're not going to release it to the media yet. So, yeah, that sort of thing. But if you're wondering, Dallas does play Green Bay this year. And he will return to Dallas with the Packers in week 4. Wait. What week number? Man, we got a lot of 4s tonight. We have the Braves scoring 4 runs. We have Kyle Schwarber with 4 homers. And Green Bay goes to Dallas in week 4. Well, that game just turned into major ratings. But now, at one time, this appeared to be a career-long relationship between the Cowboys and Parsons, but because before the draft, Parsons says it was his dream to play for the Cowboys. Dallas selected him with the 12th pick after they traded down. I think that was the trade where the Eagles moved up and got Devontae Smith. I think. So Parsons told ESPN he wanted his name to be remembered like Hall of Famers Bob Lilly, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith, whose jersey numbers have never been worn again. Now, mind you, they do not retire numbers in Dallas.
That mess that happened up there in those 3 games. It's nice to see the boys.
But they do have Ring of Honor and all that stuff, but they don't retire numbers. Well, the one thing that Dallas should do now, since Micah Parsons is now a Green Bay Packer, Dallas needs to make a trade with Minnesota so that they can get Carson Wentz so he can sully that uniform number. But I digress. So there was an acrimonious negotiation on contract extension, and it was never finalized, and a trade request was made August 1st. So they may have been shopping him from August 1st. Who knows? It's just that Dallas said, yeah, he's available.
It's got to be a cool moment for Lucha. Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned what's up for Bucks Christian. Phillies fan. Mom and Dad are here. His wife.
Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones said that the Cowboys would not trade Parsons, but the package in return was evidently worthy of a deal. Now, mind you, the Packers are probably going to be, at the minimum, a wild card team. At the minimum. So you're looking at a team who, you're looking at a team that is going to be in playoff contention. And if they advance in the playoffs, that first round pick is going to be later and later, and you're not going to get a top-notch player. But then again, sometimes players do slip through the cracks, and you get a top-notch player at 23, 24, 26, 28, 32, even though we know Green Bay's not winning the Super Bowl this year. But by the way, Phillies won 19-4. So Brian Gutekunst, the Packers general manager, said in the past that rarely, if ever, does he think a team is one player away. He reiterated that August 27th when asked if a player like Parsons can end up over the hump and put the team over the hump. Jones could hope the trade of Parsons has a similar effect to that of the 89 trade of running back Herschel Walker to the Vikings. We know that. It was like all these draft picks and all that. So the Cowboys used those picks to build their roster and won 3 Super Bowls. But you didn't have any, you only had 2 draft picks here. You don't get a treasure trove of draft picks like Dallas did back in '89. Now, Parsons has never had fewer than 12 sacks of any of his first 4 seasons. The Packers haven't had a player reach double-digit sacks since Parsons entered the league in 2021.
Congratulations on the individual efforts. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's crazy.
The Green Bay's last double-digit sack season by an individual player came from Zadarius Smith, who had 12.5 in 2020. So, but he's going to Green Bay, and we have some interesting stuff here. So, but yeah, I'm just. I mean, I got this TV on still. I probably should turn it off, but I'm not going to. But, but 19-4, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. Unbelievable. But Anyways, so now we got that breaking news out of the way here. Some additional things we're talking about here. Rashee Rice was officially suspended today. He had that hearing for September 30th. Well, that hearing isn't going to happen now. Tom Brady gets more access as a Fox analyst. Some restrictions have been loosened. Dawn Staley confirmed that she was interviewed by the New York Knicks, which is interesting. One question that she may have asked may have kept her from getting the job, I think was a fair question. They had a incident at the U.S. Open tennis tournament, which is across the lot from Citi Field in New York. They had there was a second round women's match, and somebody the loser of the match was not happy with some of the behaviors and also some of the unwritten rules that they mention in sports and all that. So once again, we have unwritten rules, and we're going to go through some college football picks here, week 1 of the season. Last week I forgot all about it because I'm a dope, but we'll get to that here as well. So I'm pulling up my DraftKings here. So okay. So all right, so let's get to some of the other stories I have planned here. Let's begin with let's go with first with the Chiefs here. Rashee Rice, he agreed to a 6-game suspension today. So that was he agreed to that. He accepted that suspension for violating the personal conduct policy and will start serving the suspension at the beginning of the year. Now, from what we found out, he will be available in week 7 ahead of the October 17th game against the Raiders. And, in a way, you get the suspension out of the way quickly. So it isn't like you just have it hanging, and then the 30th you go there and, the former judge makes the decision. But he's going to return week 7 in an October 19th game against the Raiders. That disciplinary hearing that I mentioned was set for September 30th. So he doesn't have to go through that and all that. So now last month, and what necessitated that hearing was the fact that the whole legal aspect of this, the whole court system, that all ended last month as he was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 5 years probation for his role in a multi-car crash in Dallas that left multiple people injured during the 2024 offseason. Now, the NFL handed down the suspension, which Rice will not appeal, after its own internal investigation. Now, the fact that the suspension was handed down and he accepts it, will not appeal it, it voids the hearing on September 30th before former federal judge Sue L. Robinson. And that was going to be at the NFL headquarters in New York. So Rice had pled guilty in district court to 2 third-degree felony charges, collision involving serious bodily injury, and racing on a highway causing bodily injury. He received deferred adjudication. The case will be dismissed if he completes the probation. I mean, I don't agree with some of it. It almost seems like he's getting some preferential treatment here. Whereas if Mickey, if anybody else watching who's a normal person, finger quotes, yeah, we're getting even more jail time than that. But the games he's missing. He's missing the season opener in Brazil against the Chargers. So he's officially not even allowed on the campus right now, the practice facility. He's going to miss the Super Bowl rematch with the Eagles. A Sunday night trip to New York to face the Giants. A high-profile matchup with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on the 28th. A game against the Jaguars the following Monday night, and a Sunday night showdown with the Lions. So he's missing 4 marquee games in those 6. So you're looking at, but if you really think about it, okay, if you think about it, those games that he's losing out on, they're all big games, but they're early in the season, and the team has enough time to bounce back. So I would not be surprised if, and I have an announcement towards the end of the show, that, maybe, like, one of my hot takes I have this year for the Chiefs is, and it's not that hot of a take, I don't think. One of my hot takes is the fact that one of the hot takes I have is the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, who have like an 18-game winning streak, when it comes to forgive me, I had two spammers here back to back on both. So, you're missing 4 big games, but, you still got 11 games left. So, Kansas City still has time. But my hot take that I have, which isn't that hot of a take, is that Kansas City will lose a game by 1 possession this year. Because if you remember, it just seemed like every time there was a 1-possession game, they always seemed to have some miracle play, some miracle event, block field goal. The Raiders game, there was a bullshit call. There was a couple of bullshit calls along the way as well. Things like that happen. But when it happens every single time, we're going to be posting pictures of referees in jerseys that are in the Chiefs' colors. But there will be some sort of a thing with that. But I think that, somewhat of a mild take. So I won't say it's steaming hot. it's not steaming hot, but it is lukewarm that they will lose a one. They will lose a one-score game this year, but maybe the hot take is that they won't make the playoffs. But I will be doing that. I'll be doing my predictions this weekend and giving you those results. So, Kansas City kept 8 wide receivers on the roster. Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, Nico Remigio, Jason Brownlee, and rookie Jalen Royals. So the Chiefs did this if Rice agrees to a shortened suspension, which he did, because the NFL, which according to this article, they wanted at least 8 games. And the one thing I mentioned to you guys was, okay, well, what are they going to NFL want to give? Because it's been a while since we've had a case like this, and like I told you guys, everything is about past practice, and if you have progressive discipline as well. So it isn't just, well, you got 2 games for this, now it's 4. It's also, well, you punch, you assault a guy in an elevator, like the Saints running back, Alvin Kamara. He got 3 games, I think it was. So let's say you punch a guy in an elevator or something similar, or in the hallway of a hotel because a guy is giving you a bunch of shit when you're getting off the elevator, and you punch him, and there's video camera proof, let's say, you can argue, well, let's say they out of the blue they say, all right, you get 6 games. It'd be like, I'm appealing, and the NFL Players Association will say, well, the most similar thing we have here is Alvin Kamara a couple years ago when they were in Vegas for the Pro Bowl. He got 3 games. If he got 3, he needs to get 3. And then you have to go through like, well, this is more serious because this and that, or it's on camera or whatever. But that's the one thing with labor, with unionism in sports, and even just in real life. It's like, well, you gave this person 3, why are you giving him 5? Or this person got a 5-day suspension, why are you giving him 7? That sort of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, but he gets to come back. He doesn't have a hangover his head. He doesn't have to travel to New York for that hearing, and he will be back mid-October. I guess the 13th is when he'll be able to go to get that behind him. But also some of the things that he does have to do on here, which I did see. Where was it? I thought I saw something here. So the Dallas County District Attorney said Rice will have some flexibility in when he must serve his jail time. He also was required to pay the victims for their out-of-pocket medical expenses, which have totaled about $115,000. So he does have to pay for that too. And you have to have a personal conduct policy. I mean, I've told you so many times that, why I say redacted all the time. It's because I'm protecting my nest egg, my pension. I get fired, bye-bye nest egg. So, but Yeah, we'll see him back in week 7 because the Chiefs are probably starting the preps for week 1 since they play a Friday night game on YouTube. So we'll see everything that happens with that and how he comes back afterwards. So, and probably if you're a fantasy football guy, you may be a guy that may drop in the draft to like 12, 13, 14. I think, yeah. Come to me. I'll stash you away for 6 weeks. So one guy who also was suspended one time in his career was Tom Brady, because if you remember, he was not participating in the investigation of his case with the deflated balls. From what I found out yesterday, the NFL is relaxing some of its restrictions surrounding Tom Brady in his role as a Fox broadcaster, including allowing him to attend production meetings this season. So I guess in some ways they said, well, let's see what happens. And, you can always adjust things as well. So you could, you adjust things as you go along. I think that they realize that, this is a special case and he wants to do the announcer thing as well. So, so Brady is also a partial owner of the Raiders. Now, the chances of him calling a Raiders game are slim and none for the next couple of years, I think. Well, maybe 27, or maybe the 26 season, but not this year, I don't think. But he will have to attend production meetings when a broadcast crew with the game's head coaches and key players. He'll have to do it remotely, and that he will still not be allowed to attend practices at team facilities, because since he is an owner, a partial owner, he'd be walking on their grounds. I mean, the only way he would be able to walk into another team's practice facility is if his team was playing, had a preseason group practice with another team. So, but he will be allowed to interview players off-site as well. So it isn't like he has no contact with the players. It's just can't do it there, but he will be able to do things off-site. So, Hans Schroeder, who's the NFL Executive Vice President of Media Distribution, said yesterday, the ability to join and be able to talk to a coach, coordinators, and players and help him prepare for his job was one that felt like a natural step forward. And the thing is, they didn't know what to expect because, okay, well, do they end up not, does he stay on as an analyst on it? And I think that this will actually make him more prepared, because he'll know what the coaches said, because he'll be asking the questions. I mean, it isn't like just walking in on Sunday morning and say, hey, Kevin, I think, whoever the lead guy is, I should put on the Super Bowl right now just so I can watch it, but Kevin Burkhardt, isn't it? But either way, instead of just coming in Sunday morning, hey, Kev, how's it going? You're even more prepared for the job that you're getting $38 million a year from Fox. So Fox, he made his debut, $37.5 million per year for 10 years. Limitations were placed on Brady due to his agreement to become partial owner of the Raiders, a deal that was approved by the league owners in October. But I just think that you have to, I think that'll improve his overall job because you don't want him to be the worst person in sports. Mabu, welcome in. Can you elaborate on that, please? I definitely want to respond to that. So, but little did we know, at least I didn't know about this. Some of the restrictions have been lifted for last season's Super Bowl. When Brady was on the Fox broadcast and was allowed to attend production meetings for that game. Among other restrictions Brady had last season were prohibitions on publicly criticizing game officials and other teams and being the subject to the NFL's anti-tampering policy. So I think that he still has that. It's just that he can do additional things to prepare for his job this upcoming season. So he does have that. So that was an interesting thing there, but because it did seem like early on in the year Tom Brady just was out of sorts. And I think we still have some. We still have some. He still has to work around some things. Nobody's going to have a first season like Tony Romo did with CBS, but. And of course, people are joking around with me right now on
22 hits at Citi Field tonight, 20. One home run at Citi Field tonight, 7.
Because I said joking around on somebody's Discord. 4 Schwarbombs tonight. The Eagles lead the Falcons 18-4. And they said that would be a scoregami. But it was 19-4. And I think that would be a scoregami as well in the football parlance. But yeah, I mean, this was that was an interesting story there. So just to let you know, we do have Also Eligible, which is my other show, and that's all on the Bleacher Brothers Network. I'll be live Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I have to get in touch with my potential special guest on Saturday. I'll have to text them tomorrow morning, right when I start work. Because if we do end up going long, I'm off. I got a 3-day weekend. We can afford to do a 2-hour show, but we'll be looking at Del Mar. They got the Pacific Classic. Journalism will be facing older horses for the first time. I think it's a field of 8 outside San Diego at Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Also, we'll have the Nashville Derby. His friend of Bleacher Brothers, Griffin Johnson. He's part owner of Sandman, who is trained by friend of Bleacher Brothers, Mark Cassie. Sandman will be running in the $3.5 million Nashville Derby at Kentucky Downs. And, oh, by the way, Mike, if you're paying attention, I did give out a winner today, but because there were 7 scratches in a field of 16, my horse got bet down from, I think it was 5-1 morning line. Ended up going off at
sometimes fixing your car is easier than fixing your life. Pure Auto Insurance. This river
ended up going off at 3-2.
Like every American achievement, they are results of dedication. Over 100 years dedicated to the.
Oh no, he was 8-1 on the morning line. Laganos was 8-1, went off at 3-2. Also because he had the far outside post, the 14 hole, but he ended up moving inward 4 or 5 spots. So we'll be doing that. I'll be doing that on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. And I'll be working on that early tomorrow because a win is a win. Yeah, I agree. And what I'm hoping is, I need to grab my hat here for a second. What I'm hoping for tomorrow, Mike, and you know what I'm doing with this already. I am hoping if I can give out the winner tomorrow. Let's see. I had yesterday's winner, which was a heavy favorite. I scratched into it. The horse that I like was Scratch, and I let everybody know, hey, my pick is Scratch. Let's just go with the 2 horse here. That horse won. Granted, it only paid $3.30 to win. This horse paid $5. And if my horse wins tomorrow, that's 3 in a row. It has happened before. It is called a winning streak. Well, not only is it a winning streak, it would be a hat trick. So I just drew the hat. And it would be even funnier if Mike was here right now because he'd be like, yours. Actually, he would be saying this about me. And I know he's saying this to his wife right now about me.
He's an asshole.
I can't help it. And I'm sure Mickey loved that too because he loves that drop. He loves.
He's an asshole.
I can't help it because I am. And also winners win. But anyways. So that'll be Saturday morning. I will also have an update on that jockey that was suspended in Ohio. Now, I'm going to say this about it. He's probably using other words instead of calling me an asshole. I know that. But seriously, by the way, little fun fact here. Kyle Schwarber, and here's even more with the number tonight. 4 home runs for Schwarber. The Braves scored 4 runs. Not only all that, but Kyle Schwarber became the 4th Philly to hit 4 home runs in a game. So all kinds. That number 4 is really going wild here, which probably means I'm not even going to handicap the race and just say I'm playing the 4 tomorrow. No, I'm actually going to put some effort into that. But now, when last year, as we go back to our stories here and everything I want to talk about here, one thing, and I feel a sneeze coming on too, so forgive me. My allergies have been bothering me today. Dan Hurley at Connecticut. I said last year, Dan Hurley is not going to go to a franchise where you're basically saying about their entire team.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Guaranteed. If Dan Hurley were to go anywhere, it would be a cornerstone franchise of the NBA. The Lakers, the Celtics, and possibly the Knicks. You were there in the 1800s? But because it happened 1896, Ed Delahanty, Chuck Klein in 36, Mike Schmidt in 76, And that was one of those typical Wrigley Field games in April. But now we found out today because Dawn Staley was on a podcast today, and she said that she had a formal interview for the Knicks coaching job. So ladies and gentlemen, Mike is 135 years old, just to let you know. No, 100 and whatever. But anyways,
And you talked about how you were dropped in the lineup and struggling before that game.
had the Knicks offered their head coaching job to South Carolina's women's coach Dawn Staley, who had a formal interview for the position, she said she would have taken it. Now, remember I said about Dan Hurley? I think there's only certain jobs that he would go for, which would be the Lakers, the Celtics, maybe the Bulls, but they've weaned off. You know, they won that 6 and 8 years, but they haven't been close since. You know, maybe New York because, you know, East Coast. I think in Dawn Staley's case, I think, in my opinion, and, you know, Michael, tell me I'm wrong. I know that. I think it will be, if she were to get interviewed for a job and be offered a job, I think she would interview Lakers, Celtics, Knicks, which she admitted to. Now, you're going to hear this one before I give my fifth one. I think the only team that she would take that is not a keystone franchise in the league would be Charlotte. And I know what you're saying. Joe, what the fuck? Well, the reason why I would think that she would, outside of the cornerstone franchises, that she would take the Charlotte Hornets job is because when she left Temple for South Carolina, remember, she coached Temple House for a couple of years. Dawn Staley left Temple because her family is in South Carolina. Now, she would be in North Carolina, but not too far from South Carolina. So maybe, you know, she would still have family within like probably an hour or two of Charlotte. So maybe, but you see why I'm thinking if she wants to do the stay near family thing. And I think the other place that she would go, the fifth one, would be here in Philly because this is her hometown. And maybe she doesn't want to interview for the Sixers job because guess what? You know, she would let the city down because she doesn't, you know, or maybe she'll realize what a shit show the front office is. But, you know, I mean, and everything I said makes sense, which is probably the first time all day. But seriously, I don't see her going to Toronto. And I'm not picking on franchises here, but you're getting the idea. I don't see her going to New Orleans. I don't see her going to Toronto. I don't see her going to Portland. I don't see her going to Utah. But I think if she does do something, it's either the Celtics or the Lakers, which neither of them are probably opening up anytime soon. Well, Lakers probably sooner than the Celtics. But, you know, the Celtics did have salary cap problems. The Knicks, obviously, she interviewed for the job, and who knows, maybe a second time it does open up. Charlotte, because of the family thing, if she wanted to play that card again, or she comes back home to Philly. Other than that, nah, she's not going to Brooklyn. She's not going to Washington. She's not going for a job just for the sake of getting a job. So, at least that's what I think. And I could be wrong, which wouldn't be the first time today. So, so she would have taken the job if it was offered. Dawn Staley said in the Post Moves podcast with WNBA star Aaliyah Boston and former WNBA great Candace Parker, I would have had to do it, not just for me, but for women, to break that door open. And that's the thing. It's about breaking the glass ceiling, breaking the door in. Because once you get your foot in the door, and that's what I say about, like, for example, like the one thing is when I went out to Arizona for the MLB Diversity Summit, Mike says that Dawn would go to a stable franchise, which does not include the Sixers. Yeah.
You don't ever want to get swept in general. You don't want to lose.
I don't blame her if she doesn't want to come here.
But there's always something that you have to show up and you got to do tomorrow.
Now, here's the part where it would tell me she would at least interview for the Sixers. Okay?
Bouncing back. No one's good out there, gets the strikeouts.
Well, maybe not, but now I reread this. She said, I would have had to, meaning take the position. It's the New York Knicks. I'm from Philly, but it's the freaking New York Knicks because they're one of the cornerstone franchises. And we all know the Knicks hired Mike Brown instead. Now, Staley's a Hall of Famer, as we all know. She coached the Gamecocks at 3 national championships. She said that she was properly prepared and did well in her interview with the Knicks. However, she said on the podcast that she wondered if she hurt her chances by asking the Knicks brass if they had fully considered and were fully prepared for how hiring the first woman full-time NBA coach would change the organization. Breaking news to Dawn Staley, and I'm not bashing her for saying this, but breaking news. I think that's like the 6th time I've used that tonight. I think that's a new world record. Breaking news. I think that's a fair question to ask. That's very fair. Because guess what? You know the situation that's at hand. You know that, this isn't the Whoopi Goldberg movie. Okay, this is real life. And she knows people are going to give the Knicks shit just because of the fact that she's a female. Not because she's Dawn Staley or anything else. They're going to give shit just because she's female. Plain and simple. They're going to give her shit. So she said, how if you hired me as the first female coach in the NBA, meaning head coach, would it impact your daily job? Because it would. She said that asking during the interview with the Knicks. You're going to be asked questions that you don't have to answer if you're a male coach. I think that's something I would want to see because, I think she realized that, hey, I might get the job here. And if I get the job here, I'm going to get shit. The owner's going to get shit. Well, the owner always gets shit on, but that's because he's an asshole. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. James Dolan, the Knicks owner.
He's an asshole.
There you go, Mickey. So I think that's very fair question that she asked, because she's not looking at it just for herself. She's looking big picture. She knows if she fails, if she were to fail, then everything goes backwards about 20 years. But also you have a franchise who is this close to getting to the NBA Finals. And this year, with the way everything is in the East, it could be, I mean, you can argue even the Sixers getting to the NBA Finals. Mike, don't start your shit. But that's a little hyperbole, but you get the idea here. Other than Cleveland, there is no clear-cut choice in the East. And the way that Cleveland choked last year, anything can happen. So she said as well, there's going to be the media and all this other stuff they have to deal with that you didn't have to deal with and don't have to deal with when you hire a male. That got them to thinking maybe she's right. I felt the energy change after that, so I shot myself in my foot by being inquisitive and asking all those darn questions. But you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing that she asked those questions, because I think you have concern for the job. And, sometimes these job interviews, it's like, what do you consider your best quality? What do you consider your worst quality? What happens when you face adversity? What happens when you go into the bathroom, you got to take a shit? Oh, what I do? Especially when I'm working, I end up taking my phone in there and I start thinking, well, I'm on company time. Manager makes a quarter, I make a dime. I'm shitting on company time. But but I think her question is a fair question. Now, I can imagine that if we have more people in here, and I'm not bashing people because, there's so many different people you can watch. And and I do things a little differently here. Maybe I'm asking and thinking and all this stuff. Maybe I'm thinking too far over the head of people. Maybe. I do want to have this that, it's kind of like my jokes. Oh, they're dad jokes. But you know what? They're dad jokes and other jokes that make you think. Kind of like Dennis Miller. But, I had a couple of people there. Yeah, I really like your jokes. That's why they make me think. So, but that was definitely something that caught my eye today. I was like, huh. But I'm going to say one thing. I really think, in my opinion, she asked a fair question. Now let's hope she did not set things back for any female who's going to go for that head coaching job. let's hope that's the case. Now, and you also have to scratch the itch, and in a way, it's always good to have an interview every once in a while. Because I just think every once in a while you need to do these interviews just because, you know, if you ever interview for anything else, you know, you have to do it. You don't want to go into an interview totally shitting the bed. I mean, the only time you should really bomb an interview is if it's an impromptu one. And that time I was in Arizona about 10 years ago, it seems like, we, I had a impromptu interview. I was like, sorry, but I don't have a resume or anything like that. Just let you know, we reviewed it a couple of times. It was like very last minute. It's like, I can't get this done. Or whatever. Don't worry about it. Let's do. And guy made me feel comfortable and all that. So, but if it's planned and you bomb it, then it's on you. But I think if you have something impromptu and you bomb, it's just how did you bomb? But that's a topic for another day. But so I'm going to bring something up here that was a bit controversial, and I'm going to play this video on YouTube so you guys can see what happened here. Now, this was yesterday during the U.S. Open tennis tournament. Helena Ostapenko, she is in Latvia. She's from Latvia. She actually won a Grand Slam. I just don't know which one. I think Wimbledon. She took on American Taylor Townsend in the second round. Taylor Townsend won, and you'll see here in this video as I'm slowly setting this up, they had words after the match. So I will show this video to you guys, and I'm also going to turn my TV down because probably had a little too loud tonight. So if you heard it for the last 45 minutes or last hour and 20 minutes, sorry. But I'm going to play this video, which is from ABC 7, which I believe is in New York City. And I'll show you this video, and we'll discuss further, and I'll tell you some of the background on this. And a tennis player coming to Taylor Townsend's tour defense, I should say. Okay, here we go. Damn it. There we go. Now we're ready.
Things got really heated between American Taylor Townsend and Jelena Ostapenko after their second round match. Ostapenko, right there on the left, pointing to her, she said she should have apologized for winning a point on a net cord earlier in the match. But listen in the post-match interview. Townsend added to what her opponent said to her.
It's competition. People get upset when they lose, and you can't. Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I beat her in Canada outside the U.S., so let's see what else she has to say. But this is what I live for. I love this city. I love New York. I love the people, so I'm looking forward to another round.
Man, I miss the days of John McEnroe, where he's only yelling at the judge, not the other person, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of good for tennis, but not that. That's not good for tennis.
Beef in tennis now.
Right.
Okay. Kurt, thank you very much.
Helps if I turn the microphone on. Oh, that deserves a double. So pretend this is 2. Okay. So, yeah, I know. I do that every once in a while. I apologize for that. Now, the one thing is, baseball has it. I'm sure football, basketball, and hockey all have that too. There are the unwritten rules, and I'm using finger quotes here. Now, the reason why I was looking to see if it was still on Instagram, because I think Helena Ostapenko did post on Instagram some, and by the way, Sam caught it, and all good, and also welcome in. Hope you're having a good night out there. My name's Joe Quills. I am with Bleacher Brothers. I host this show, the Joe Quills Show, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I also host Also Eligible, which is a horse racing handicapping show. That is Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So welcome in. Hope you're having a good night out there, and welcome aboard. You have these unwritten rules. Like, for example, some of the unwritten rules of baseball. The one that comes to mind is not bunting for a base hit when a no-hitter is going on. I know Curt Schilling had that happen to him once. He flew off the handle. So that's one thing. Now, in tennis, one of the unwritten rules in tennis, now Ostapenko called it a rule, but when you're probably anger tweeting, anger posting, all that stuff, you're going to put stuff on there and it doesn't make sense. Whereas me, if you follow me on Twitter or X at Joe Quills, you'll see a lot of shit that doesn't make sense, and 10 seconds later, I delete it because I reread. I'm like, what the hell am I trying to say? But Ostapenko said one of the rules is you apologize if a shot that you try to make hits the net. Okay, now, and Pork Chop, welcome in. He's one of my friends from the Free For All show. There's unwritten rules that, courtesy, sportsmanship, whatever. But Ostapenko, as you saw there, saying that Taylor Townsend, obviously, who's African-American, had no class and no education. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not trying to defend her. I'm just looking at this from both sides. We all say things we're eventually going to regret. That's why we have delete buttons on Twitch, not on Twitch, on X, on Facebook, whatever, even though technically it still lives on in the internet forever. It's just harder to find unless somebody screen caps it real quick. Ostapenko, if I remember correctly from last night, because I saw it on the news I saw it on SportsCenter last night, I believe, because I was working on different things and never got my article written until this morning. The thing is, I didn't watch the match. So was this something that occurred all the time in the match? Was this just something where she was just so excited that she got a point at a crucial point in the match that she didn't do it? Because the one thing is, in my opinion, sometimes you get so excited that you win a point in tennis in a pressure-packed point in a pressure-packed portion of the match. Sometimes you forget. And Ostapenko was being a sore loser here. And also, I really think that, and we're talking with, we can compare like some of the things that Dawn Staley said about her potentially being a female head coach in the NBA. Are you ready for it? And the questioning that she had for it. If Taylor Townsend, if Taylor Townsend was white, we just blow it off. But because she's African American, it's going in that direction where it's racism and all that stuff. Now, is she, Helena Ostapenko, racist? I don't know. I want to believe this was in an anger fit because she lost a match. And also, you're getting paid a shit ton of money to play in this tournament. And Taylor Townsend did say in an interview, well, she's going home. I get to play another match. Well, technically, the one thing is I checked the night when I was looking up different things. I was looking to see, because both Taylor Townsend, who's actually the #1 doubles player in the world, and Helena Ostapenko were both in the women's doubles tournament. What I was hoping was that they would win so that that doubles match, whatever round they would have ended up in, would have been shown on TV, because these two hate each other. Bruce Buffer would come from Vegas, and now I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm not costing AJ tens of thousands of dollars. But you know what Bruce Buffer says right before a fight. Something about it, about it being 10:36 p.m. Put two and two together. But here's so it comes off as racist. Was the intent there? I don't know. I think there's only one way of knowing, and that's the person itself. And even if it had racial intentions, she's not going to admit it. I'm sure the WTA is going to investigate. But it's interesting that a former champion came to Taylor Townsend's defense, and not because of skin color or anything like that, but because of all the different things that are going on here. So Naomi Osaka, and I've criticized her because she claims she's from Japan. Well, part of her family, her father's from Japan, but her father's Haitian American, her mother's Japanese. I just criticize that she claims she's from Japan when she acts all American and shit, mental health and blah, blah, blah. Japanese are mentally strong. But I digress. Naomi Osaka strongly came to the defense of Taylor Townsend on Thursday, who claimed that Jelena Ostapenko hurled no class and no education insults following their second-round match the previous day. Osaka also had an incident today following her second-round victory. At least I think the match was today. Over Haley Baptiste. That such derogatory comments are one of the worst things you can say to a black tennis player in a majority white sport. Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a majority white sport either. Just saying it in general. So Ostapenko is Latvian, which is in Eastern Europe. She has denied she has denied that she was making any racial comments when she used those terms during a heated post-match exchange, which you saw, over what she believed was a breach of tennis etiquette by Townsend. Now, when she was going off on that rant on, I believe it was Instagram, which isn't available anymore. At least I think it was on Instagram. You have to realize that when you feel someone's being unsportsmanlike, someone's being a total asshole like you're thinking that she is, not following the unwritten rules of sports, well, you're gonna give it to her at the end because you had no class, you had no education, you don't do anything because everything that I'm saying, because guess what, you didn't say, oh, I'm sorry when you and that's why I question, was this the whole game that she didn't do it, or was it just 1 point or maybe 2 points where the pressure of the match? And let me just check on that match. And by the way, Mike, the Marlins did defeat the Mets tonight, 7-4. So we got one of those 3 games back tonight. So the Phillies are back up 5. Let me go back over here. And I do have an update on this as well in a couple of seconds here. Okay, so Taylor Townsend, who came into this tournament ranked 139th. So normally she wouldn't get into the U.S. Open, but because she's an American, she gets what's called a wild card. So, U.S. Open reserves a certain amount of spots for those that want to play in this tournament that are American. So her third round match is tomorrow night against number 5 Mira Andreeva. And you can tell I haven't watched tennis too much because it's like, I'm sitting here saying,
who the fuck is that guy?
And then I say, come on, Joe, that's a chick. That's not a dude. But you get why I'm saying that. But 7-5-6-1. Okay, so maybe she was getting overly excited towards it, if it was towards the end of the match. Because guess what? Even though you're a sportsman, you're a sportsman, you have sportsmanlike conduct, you're going to forget things. And you're beating a player in Jelena Ostapenko, who was ranked 26th in the world and was 25th in the tournament, ranked 25th in the tournament. So the comments were uncalled for, no matter if Taylor Townsend was white or black or blue or green or whatever. Well, maybe not green. Get the idea. So Naomi Osaka said, I know Taylor, I know how hard she worked, and I know how smart she is, so that's the furthest thing from educated or anything like that. So, and the thing is, you do know certain players, and, I criticize Naomi Osaka, but that's only because she claims she's from Japan. But Osaka said going further, but if you like generally ask me the history of Ostapenko, I don't think that's the craziest thing she said, if I'm being honest. Oh. So she has a history of this. Potentially. I think it's ill timing and the worst person you could have ever said it to. I don't know if she knows the history of it in America. Yes, she is Latvian. I mean, the one thing I would say is since I read this part, I wouldn't be surprised if she is racist, but I'm not going to label her as such. Let the print media, the tennis media, let them play with that. I'm just going to look at it from both sides as much as possible. But in Ostapenko's case here, and she lost 7-5, 6-1. And I think you have an idea who the players are on the tour in terms of general rankings. Because the top tier tour that Ostapenko was in, Taylor Townsend needs wild cards to get into those tournaments if she can get in, because she was ranked 136 coming into this tournament. So you know who these players are that are going in there. But I get your point, Sam. And Naomi did say, and I don't know if she knows the history of it in America, all the racial bullshit that's been going on for, I'll even say up till today, I'll say 300, 400 years. But Osaka has been terrific in her first two matches, advancing in third round for the third time this year in Grand Slam events. She took off in 23 on maternity leave and to take care of her mental wellness. But I will say this, even if it's to, lack of a better term, white, I don't think this, I mean, I think it makes news, but not to what we're seeing here. So this is a story that got posted on ESPN about within the last 2 hours. She said she's received support from players after Wednesday's on-court confrontation, when Ostapenko was said to have told Townsend that she had no class and no education. Townsend on Thursday said she had not heard from Ostapenko, Latvian, since their second-round singles battle, which ended with Ostapenko berating Townsend, which I showed you guys, for not apologizing for a net cord, as they call it in tennis, and then using insulting language and questioning Townsend's intellect and character. Ostapenko lost her first-round doubles match, so we won't get the rematch in doubles. Because if that were to have happened, I'm sure that would have been right up there on ESPN. It's like, oh, we got to show this match because we might have somebody going Hollywood Hogan on somebody and going steel chair or whatever. But I'm over exaggerating to get the idea. So Ostapenko lost her first round doubles match today with partner Barbara Krejcova and skipped her news conference citing medical reasons. But we don't know what Ostapenko's thinking right now. And I think she knows that if she had to sit through a press conference, the press conference wasn't about the doubles match. It was about her opening her mouth. And I mean, even I'm guilty of this. I think we're all guilty of this. And whoever's never done this, cast the first stone. But I will say this, and I've said I will say this about 5 times now. In the heat of the moment, when you're at your angriest, you're going to say things that sometimes you don't mean. You're going to say things that just fly out. And even worse, it's at a Grand Slam event. So ESPN's covering it, you know. ESPN's covering, you know, it's going to make the news. It's, you know, just the fact it's going to be on SportsCenter where I saw it. You know, probably the best and worst thing Ostapenko should have did was just walk away and not shake hands at the end. But, you know, but like I said, I don't know when these net cords occurred. So, you know, I didn't watch the match. I just saw the news coming up. But, you know, Townsend feels like she handled the situation gracefully. Probably. I'm not a fan of somebody saying, you know, she said this about me. You know, sometimes I'm not a fan of that. I mean, like, Mike can probably vouch for me when I say this. And I've said this a few times on social media. So let's say wait staff, waiter, waitress, whatever the term you want to use. They go on their social media, whether it's an athlete or whether it's me or Mike or even Sam or whoever. You go on social media and say, this mother effer gave me no tip. And it was a $50 tab, let's say. Now, me personally, you know, I feel like throwing somebody under the bus because they don't give a tip, that's even bad, if not worse, as tipping. But, you know, but I understand why she said that, because she responded to the reporter's question of what happened there, because we knew something happened. But, you know, like, for example, like, Mike can probably vouch for this unless he missed it when I ran about people doing this. But when a server posts that somebody gave them no tip or put a snide ass comment on there, well, guess what? If I'm the boss, yeah, I have every right to fire her, because, you know, yeah, I understand, you know, you're making what, about $3.50 an hour because you live off of tips. And Mike can vouch for me that, you know, I go off on the fact that someone posted someone has no tip. And also, in a way, I don't really like the server saying that they got a $5,000 tip either. But, you know, I can understand that part of it because it's like, holy shit. But I just think, you know, you can look at this in so many different ways, and, you know, and like, you know, and I'm not gonna slam Sam there for his comments there, because I'm trying to keep an open mind here. And I'm going to admit that I don't know everything that happened in the match, because I know for a fact that that's an unwritten rule. And in the heat of being extremely pissed off, Ostapenko went onto Instagram or Snapchat or what Bill Belichick calls snap face and said what she had to say. But the question is, was it the whole match that Townsend was not showing sportsmanlike contact, whatever? Because the one thing I will say is, even with my case here, if I lose and I lose fair and square, okay, good game, you won. But if you give me a bunch of shit, or, even winners being sore winners or, overly excited, then I have a problem. Or I feel like there's a potential of them cheating or they got a bullshit call, then I'll be a little upset. Now, let's look at Super Bowl 57, for example. That holding call or passing interference, whatever they called it, in the final 2 minutes of the game that led to the game-winning field goal for the Chiefs. I had no problem with the penalty. As an Eagles fan, that I could say that. Why? Because I saw the tug of the jersey and I said, game over. Game over. I said that. And that was objective, even as an Eagles fan, because of the fact that it was a fair call to make. Now, if it was a Bush League call, like, you're calling a holding call, but you're calling it on the wrong guy, or, it's an offensive pass interference, but you call it defensive, something like that, then I might have a problem. But, something like that, that was nothing there. But, if there's something that really is a bullshit call, like, for example, that pass interference call for the Rams when they faced the Saints in the NFC Championship game a few years back, when that DPI was not called, I would have been livid. Matter of fact, I probably would have been screaming, or whatever round the Saints played the Rams. Was it the no, that was the NFC Championship game. That's right, because it was the first game of the day. If that was a call that was not called against the Eagles and was so unbelievably blatant, I probably would have gotten kicked out of this apartment complex because I would have been yelling and screaming that much. Now, I would hope that the neighbor across the hall would understand me to a certain extent, and hopefully they didn't have any toddlers around. Because the last thing I want is a little 1 or 2 year old kid where their first or second word is fuck, motherfucker, whatever. But if I win, you win fairly, you lose fairly. If you end up winning the game because it was a bullshit call, unfortunately, I would say, unfortunately, it was a bullshit call, things like that. But, so I will definitely say, the comments were uncalled for, no matter what race the opponent is or what race the person is that uttered it. I'm going to say that. But I want to look more into this because Mike knows me for as well, that, like when we see these viral videos, I'm always saying, let's see what happened 30 to 60 seconds before that. because you see a cop taking a swing at a civilian. Okay, well, why did he take the swing? Even though it's still not something they should be doing, but why did they do it? Okay, well, in this 30-second that got conveniently edited to make it look like it's even worse of police brutality, you know. And the thing is, I'm saying this, but I don't completely support cops. I do support them, but if they do something where they deserve to be suspended, fired, jailed, I'm all for that too. Just keep your job on the up and up. But I will say this. I don't know the person, meaning Ostapenko. And I'm going to say right now that I'm going to treat Osaka's comments as fair, because she said, and I'm going to reread what she wrote here, what she said here. I don't think that's the craziest thing she said. That doesn't look good. So, but I do think it was heat of the moment. But some factors do make it look even worse than what it was. So, but I think she handled it to a good extent, to a certain degree. But, you know, but the media and the world wants to know, what did she say that got you pissed off, and what did she accuse you of? You know, you want to know that. So, and it did say here that she has been in kerfuffles before. So she might have this bad girl thing. But okay, so Ostapenko posted this on social media. So ESPN did have what she said here. Ostapenko said, I think this was on Instagram, if I remember from seeing it on SportsCenter last night. She posted on social media Wednesday that she has received many messages that I am a racist. And the thing is, with America, you know, you're going to get that race card played. I'm not going to lie. I was never racist in my life, and I respect all nations of people in the world. For me, it doesn't matter where you came from. Maybe, maybe not. World number one, Aryna Sabalenka, said she's spoken to Ostapenko after their match and had tried to sell her down. Sabalenka said, I have to say she's nice. She's just sometimes can lose control. Okay. So there are faults, no pun intended, in Ostapenko, at least from what it reads here. She has some things in life to face and some struggles. I think she just sometimes can just lose control over emotions, which is pretty tough. Okay, and you know, you're playing for a Grand Slam. You're playing, if you win 7 matches and win the championship, you're making several $1 million. And some parts of the world, that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million, whatever the top prize is, based on their economy and everything else, it's like 800, not 8. But you get the idea. Sabalenka also says, I really hope that one day she will figure herself and she will handle it much better. Townsend said today, I don't think I've ever had that many people watch the first round doubles from me ever in my life. So that's exciting. I think that it's going to continue further that we progress in the tournament. Yeah, they're backing her. Townsend's not looking for external validation, but said she wanted to show people it's okay to be unapologetically yourself. Yeah, I mean, so Sabalenka is kind of defending Ostapenko, but she admits she has her faults. And Mike will admit that I have faults too. Mostly that
He's an asshole.
But Mike uses a different term, but you get the idea. So this was, I mean, could it also be blown out of proportion? Yeah, sure, but I would say that this definitely does not look good. Even if Ostapenko is one of the calmest persons on tour and most sportsmanlike. So, but I understand. Oh, you're not being sportsmanlike. Yeah, I can understand that, but I just think that you're crossing that line, so to speak. So, but I appreciate Sam. I appreciate Sam's comments as well. And we're an open forum here. I'm not always going to be right. I'll admit when I'm wrong. And I appreciate people who take the time to watch this show. Now, we are going to do something that I have not done in months. And it is the return of the Philly Fade. Now, we do have a bunch of new shows that are coming up on the Bleacher Brothers platform. And I will admit to you guys that there's better handicappers than me. I do this a little bit for fun, but I also do it because, like if I have the money to plunk down a wager or two, I will. And I will also tell you, like, for example, this week coming up is Rent Week. So the chances of me plunking wagers on these football games is probably nil. The chances of me plunking a wager down on Sandman and the National Derby is pretty slim to none. Plunking money on whoever in the Pacific Classic at Del Mar is pretty slim. And I admit these things because the one thing is, I don't want you to get into trouble with your finances or anything else, or, I don't want you to get into trouble because you hear, oh, Joe really likes this team. Because guess what? I'm getting blamed, not you. But, I'm not afraid to tell you guys that, if you got a gambling problem, 100 gambler, I turn it more than just that. I try to be truthful with you guys and hey, it's okay that you do something like I do and try to keep your mind sharp and make your picks. Because that's how Quills Picks Winners was founded for Bleacher Brothers. I didn't have much in the way of money in terms of disposable income. So what do? I start writing these articles. I try to keep myself sharp so that when the money is there, okay, well, I can play a couple of these races and maybe I hit a couple of these races. And if you don't, maybe you see something in the text that I write, even if it's not the horse that I'm picking. And that's a great thing about Also Eligible on Saturday as well, because I may mention something about a horse, or you'll see something in the program, when I share my screen. Maybe there's something that you see that you like that I may miss or I don't like. And that's a great thing about horse racing, because it's all one mind puzzle. But when it comes to football, it's also a mind puzzle as well. It's like, well, this team is favored by 12 and a half and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. So that's why we're going to do this here. And this is a fun thing that I do every week. And just to let you know, we have our first upset of the season, as Boise State got trounced by South Florida 34-7. So obviously I didn't watch the game because I was watching the Phillies game. So I'm guessing it's a combination. It's a combination of a team from the Rocky Mountain states. I almost said Pacific Northwest. I think you can call it Pacific Northwest, but technically isn't. Went to South Florida. Hot, humid weather. Probably didn't go too well. So I'm just looking at some of these games here. So we're going to begin. I'm going to share my screen here, because one thing I do is I share my screen here so you can see the information here. So we're going to scroll down here. Okay, so first game I'm going to look at is Army versus Tarleton State. Now, Army last year, I believe, won the Army won the AAC last year, or they're calling it the American now, or whatever they're saying. So here's one thing. Here's a little tip that I have. Let me go here. And this is a Dan Patrick Show special. I think it's, not sure if it was Paulie Patch, whoever, but they love to play the first half point spread for the Navy, for the military academies, Army and Navy. They don't usually go with defense. Oh wait, they ain't even on here? Oh man. That's not fun. All right, well, let's do one other thing here. I am going to check something else out here. This is how adamant I am about wanting this wager. Oh. Wow. All right, nothing on Caesars. I'm going to try FanDuel. I have all the sports books that Bleacher Brothers offers. Let me just check FanDuel. If it's not on FanDuel, then I have a second pick that I'm going to use here. No, I didn't want that, you dumbass. Hold on. No, they don't have what I'm looking for. Okay. So what I was looking for the first half line. So if it's available, it's not. If it's going to be available, it may not be available until tomorrow. However, I will do this. Because they are playing Tarleton State, which is I believe, an FCS school. Let me double check that here. Yes, they are. They are in the UAC conference, the United Athletic Conference, which I think is a football-only conference, but it's or it may just be a conference that changed names this year. But whatever it is, Tarleton State does have a game in the books. They won at Portland State 42-0. Okay. Tarleton State is do they have the no FCS poll? Tarleton State is ranked 8th in FCS right now. Okay. Now, I don't think they're going to play an offense that plays like Army does, running the ball, the option, all that stuff. So let me see here if I can. Yeah, DraftKings won't even let me. All right, so the one thing is that I do is I also don't like, for example, -115 there. If it's more than like -112, I usually don't do anything with it. But I'm going to take Army -14.5 here. And a lot of people are probably going to say, dude, they're playing one of the top teams in FCS. And, probably bite me in the ass. But I think that even though they had the game under their belt already, I really think going to Army, going to face a team that doesn't do offense like other teams nowadays. So, yeah, I'll take a shot here on Army -14.5 here. Army to win their opener here. So I'm going back over here. Go back about 15 spots here. So let's go to, and it is an early game on Saturday. And I think Mike already knows the angle that I went with this. As soon as I can find it. There it is. And okay. So Texas is playing Ohio State. This was Ohio State by 2 a couple of days ago. Now, this basically is a pick'em game. And a half a point spread is basically a pick'em game because whoever wins the game will win this spread bet. Okay? Now, if this had been minus 115 and this was minus 110, I would say, why play minus 115 when you get minus 110? You get a little more juice. So there is a stat here, and the quarterback for Ohio State is making his first career start. Okay, and as soon as I can find it here. And I believe he's a freshman too, but let me double check that first. As soon as I find it here. Oh, no, he's a sophomore. Okay, but still, he's making his first career start. His name is Julian Sayin. He had 12 passes in his career. He played. He had 2. He went 2 for 2 Western Michigan in September. Went 3 for 5 at Michigan State. 0 for 4 at Purdue. 0 for 1 in the playoff against Tennessee. Quarterbacks that are making their first career start against the number 1 team have never won. Now, what makes this even more interesting is the fact that you have Arch Manning on the opposite side here. He's making his, I think he's making his debut as a starter as well. At least I think that's his first start. But either way, he might have played in that Mississippi State game as a starter that game. So he does have a couple of games of experience, full games. So, but this is a dream matchup for Fox that you get these 2 teams to start off the year. And with that nugget that I gave you about quarterbacks making their first career start against the number 1 team, I'm hopping on Texas money line here. It doesn't matter if you go plus or minus half a point because either way, it's a pick'em game. It's just that they make it look like a half a point means something. I've been riding. I've liked Texas, especially since that comment, so I'm going to take Texas there. I got a shits and giggles pick here for you as well. And I have to do this because we at Bleacher Brothers have a relationship with Florida Atlantic. And I guarantee you, they see this and be like, can you not pick our games? So if this is something that breaches etiquette, so be it. You know, I'll do better next week. But just for shits and giggles, they're taking on Maryland. Maryland, their coach is on the hot seat this year. Florida Atlantic has a new head coach. I'm going to go for the upset here. Let's go Florida Atlantic plus 425 here. I'm going to go for that upset. Just looking for anything else here. I'm also looking to see if there's a line where I can give you the one argument that I have usually. Actually, you know what? We did have it there. Okay, now this isn't a pick, but just to let you guys know. Okay. Temple plays UMass in the ass game of the week. Well, Temple actually has a new coach. Casey Keeler, who won a few national championships at Delaware at the FCS level. I'm not picking this game, but this is the perfect example of knowing your lines. Now, if you like UMass in this game, why take that 1.5? Because the chances of you winning this wager and UMass losing by 1 point is very slim. So if you like UMass on Saturday, why go here when you can go over to the money line at plus 105 and get a little more bang for your buck? That's not a pick, but that's an example that I try to tell you guys when it pops up, especially during NFL season. And we're just scrolling here. I do apologize if I'm making you seasick or whatever. You know what? We might as well pick the North Carolina game here. That is on Monday, I believe. Yeah, it's Monday night. TCU goes into North Carolina, the start of the Bill Belichick era in North Carolina. And got a lot of hype in this game, and let's go for the upset here. Let's go North Carolina plus 142 here. So that is my final pick for this weekend. And we'll be more dialed in next week, but my picks for this weekend, I need to... There we go. So my 4 picks: Army minus 14.5. That is tomorrow night at Tarleton State. Got Texas on the money line minus 110. Florida Atlantic plus 425 on the money line, and North Carolina State on the money line plus 142. If you're daring enough to play this as a parlay, you get plus 44.32, which means if you were to bet $100 on this, and I do not recommend it, always bet within your means, you would get $4,534.63. But you know, that's what happens, you know, because this is based on $100. But you know, maybe you're comfortable with 25. Okay, you get 1,100. You bet 10, you get 453. So, but always bet within your means. You don't have to go for big bucks all the time. You want to avoid the whammies. And those are my 4 picks for the weekend. And we'll see how I do at the start of this season. Because last year, we were insanely bad. We were like minus 20 units or so. I came all the way back and turned it into a profit at the end of the year. I mean, I got insanely hot in November and December. But I will let you know, this is called the Philly Fade for a reason. Do you like my pick, or do you think you should fade them? That's the ultimate decision. And, also remember, how much did you pay for these picks? 0. So if these bets do not come in, just remember these were free picks. And that will be it on this show. Just a reminder, I did say I was going to give you an update. As of right now, and this is subject to change, no show Monday, no show Tuesday. I will be back with a special Wednesday show. That Wednesday show will be at around 9:15 because the Bleacher Brothers show is back at 7, and I like to give a little bit of a buffer because the one thing I always tell AJ when he does the show, if you run over, you run over. I don't care. But I'll be back with the Joe Quills show on Wednesday. Thursday, possibly, but if it is, it won't be your typical structured show. I may even start early because the reigning defending Super Bowl champions will be in action against the Dallas Cowboys. And the line is still 7.5. So just let you know on that right now. So that is going to be it for this show. A little bit long tonight, but sometimes that happens. And sometimes we have a show where we're done in an hour. So do appreciate everybody watching. Mike, Sam, Pork Chop, Mickey, anybody else who was watching that did not comment in chat, which is perfectly fine. I don't mind you lurking as well. But we'll be live Wednesday night at 9:15-ish. And then we will be live Saturday morning for an episode of Also Eligible, where we will look over the races from Del Mar and the Nashville Derby from Kentucky Downs. So that's it, everybody. Do appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And we'll do it live again Wednesday, and I'll do it again Saturday morning. So hope everybody has a great night, and I'll see you guys in the winter.